Today is Saturday, March 2nd, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 46 Week 1.
That's right. Wednesdays, we do a recap. Saturdays, we let the other super fans chime in, give their perspectives on what they observed, how they perceived the actions and events, and maybe, just maybe, they'll make some predictions to help us with our picks in the Survivor Fantasy League that we run. I got to confess, that's what I look forward to, is getting those predictions.
That's right.
That extra insight into the players, things I might not have seen.
Well, and I'll point some things out, but there's things people say I thought, I never would have thought of that.
Did not register. Yes.
Didn't enter my mind at all.
Need the benefit of multiple lenses to gather all this information about the game that we love to get together and talk about so much.
I may need that in my real life, but I don't quite have that.
Yeah.
I just muddle along, I guess.
Yes. Yes, a lot of us muddle along. But that need not be the case if you enjoy Survivor Fans Podcast. So we've got a full roster. 22 super fans 22. Showed up. So do we need to cover anything? Can we dig right in?
We just need to get right in with Pete.
Get started. Here we go.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Oh, man, what an awesome premiere, man. 2 hours, tons of content with camp, strategy, a little bit of idol searching. Got to see a lot of strategy and a lot of camp life, which is what we want. So it's a great, big, woo! Bam! And this is Zelensky calling. Q, we can't do it. It's too much. Oh, my goodness. Too bad. This guy, I had high expectations for this guy, but man, did he disappoint, and he earned the right to be the first person voted off the season. Between the very beginning with the sweat, with Q giving up, then when he goes on that adventure with Maria and Tevin, and then he confesses he didn't have the parchment one, so he lost his vote, and he gave the other two an extra vote. Unprecedented. I think that team, yes, he might have offered something, physicality, but I think, Stacy, you probably are talking about it. I don't think he offered much to the game. No strategy, and he looked like he wasn't that good at puzzles. A guy that gives up. You know, he's a liability big time, and it's the same thing for Jess. If that team might lose again, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jess goes. You know, she reminds me of guys, and she almost looks like her. Remember Christina Cha from One World, the season that Kim won? That's who she kind of reminds me of a little bit, too. Her tone of voice, no strategy. But I was really surprised with Kenzie forming an alliance with Tiffany. Didn't expect that at all. Those two girls seem to be in a good spot with Q and with Bano, even though they couldn't come to an agreement. But they obviously did because it was a unanimous decision. And then real quick, guys, well, the Orange team was dominant there. Soda reminds me of Marianne. Tevin was a great actor and a fun character. Hope he makes it deep. Liz, if that team somehow loses, although I don't know if I could see it coming right now, I think Liz would be the one voted out because of spilling the beans about her business, which is something you never do. So I wouldn't be surprised with that. And then with the green team, Mariah and Maria surprised me. More so Mariah. I knew Maria would be like. Jem was funny. Charlie, oh, good luck to you. Charlie's Angels. They're going to manipulate you all the way down there. We'll see how long that lasts, because Tim saw right through it. I'm not seeing any Black Widow stuff with these women, but we'll have to see. This is a great premiere. We even got to see Tiffany get the advantage after her team lost. Who would have thought that something good would happen after you lose? Go figure. But hopefully that purple team can redeem themselves. That orange team looks stacked. But this is a good episode, guys. Now let me hear the Probes podcast. I'm curious to see if Jelinski has any regrets of his decisions and of quitting there with some of those challenges. Take care, guys. Woo!
Whoa, thanks, Pete. Did he have... no, he seemed to have maintained the illusion/delusion.
I was going to say delusion.
Yeah, he's sure he'll be invited back because he was such a dynamic player.
Powerful, strategic player.
Yes, perceived as a huge threat, hence the need to get rid of him so early.
Yep.
No, he didn't seem to have the awareness that we have. Granted, he knows more, but he was convinced that they were going to name the Merge tribe after him. And so, yeah, I guess some people showed up there and told him that at some point. So they just fed right into whatever his fantasy is there that he's living in. Yeah, it's quite the mess. Some other of the fans are going to talk about different things that he mentioned. So I won't try to cover all those at once, but we'll talk some more about the things that he said in his exit interviews. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. Well, I thought that this was a pretty good season premiere. It was definitely one of the funniest ones in recent memory, and that was mostly owing to our first boot of the season, Jelinski, and his near comical exit from the game. Now, I won't harbor on him too bad, because I kind of feel bad that he's a young player. He's only 22. In fact, he's definitely a legend because he's the youngest Survivor player to be a first boot. And so he's got that feather in his cap, and he was also voted out unanimously while not having a vote. So he definitely had a legendary exit from the game, but hopefully people aren't too hard on him. I do wish, though, that with Survivor and their casting, that they would cast a season where you look at each player and you think, that player has a decent chance at winning.
Right.
And when it comes to Jelinski, there's no universe in which he wins the game of Survivor. But anyway, moving on. As far as my assessment of the cast goes and how that changed, I think I was more impressed with the girls this episode. Maria really impressed me. Even though she's older, she's definitely got the physicality to compete in the game. It was really smart of her to form the Charlie's Angels alliance, and I think that actually has the potential going forward in the game to be effective. I could see Tim being their first victim if they go to tribal council. Soda actually impressed me as well. I think she'll do better than I gave her credit for. My USB Tiffany, I thought she had an okay episode. It was good that she got an idol. I wish she would have kept it to herself, but she had an okay episode. And as far as the guys, I was impressed with Tevin and Hunter. I can see why Tevin was the narrator, and I think that that's going to be continuing throughout the season. He's going to be a really good player to watch. And I was really impressed with Hunter. I sympathized with him in that scene where he just sort of couldn't compete with the energy or just contribute to sort of the vibe of the tribe. I know exactly what he was talking about, and I think he handled it in the best possible way. And I think that showed that he's going to have a very good game. I think he's going to go really far. But as far as next week of who might go home, I had Liz as my vote of this week just because of how odd she was, and I think she ended up being even more odd than I anticipated. So I might keep her as my vote off. I think Jess, if she continues to not sleep, she might take herself out of the game. And I also think that Tim has the potential to be Charlie's Angels' first victim if they go to tribal council. So we'll have to see what happens. But those are my predictions, and I look forward to hearing other fans' feedback. You guys just take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, those were all my same picks from each of the tribe until I saw the next on with Venus, who's going to start
acting up.
And that could get her voted out before Liz.
Right. At this early stage, you really want to be doing everything you can to gel.
Or they could all turn
make
on
connections.
Brandon and take him out. I don't know anymore, but
yeah, and with the challenge, the immunity challenge they showed us in the Next Time on Survivor in the preview at the end of that first episode, that's the kind of challenge anyone could win.
That's true.
You can goof in building that arch, and then
doesn't matter how strong you are.
yeah, and wow, this is classic Survivor too. Can you think of another challenge where it might be handy to have someone who was 6'4", but unfortunately they just got voted out? You know, some people were kicking themselves when they showed up at that one. Oh, goodness.
I don't know. I think they were okay with what they decided, but
yeah, in the scheme of things. But you can't help but go, it would help to have someone with that wingspan and that height.
At this point, I'm kind of looking at how could Purple possibly win with the way Banu was yelling at Jess like that right in the middle of the challenge. Mm-hmm. I thought, teams don't work well when they're yelling at each other. I mean, that was a full-out scream at her.
Yeah, he seems to be volatile, doesn't he?
I thought, whoa, he's losing it. So,
yeah.
If she's able to maintain calm and he's losing it, he might be the next to go.
There you go, Robert. You sparked all kind of ideas. We're thinking who could go next.
Okay, well, let's hear what somebody else said.
Next up, we got an email from Mary in Maryland. Hello, it's been so much fun to be back together chatting about Survivor. I agree 100%, Mary. We enjoyed the premiere and we're glad that we had 2 hours to get to know the players and get a sense of tribe dynamics. Listening to Jabek and the preseason interviews make it so much more enjoyable, as in the past it took me several weeks before I even knew who all the players were. Yeah, I can remember that when we were watching, but before the podcast started, that would always be the case. It was fun to see who was exactly as they seemed in the interviews and who came off differently. Jelinski was much less perceptive and on the ball than I expected, and even bordered on delusional, as even now in post-game interviews, he still believes he's a Survivor legend and was voted out because he was too much of a leader and a strategic threat. Q and Tevin seem just as amazing on screen as I expected and are two of my favorites. They just seem like quality individuals who I'd love to know in real life. I love how Tevin narrated the opening sequence, and his voice is beautiful. I did not choose either as my USB because I think their threat level is obvious and they won't be allowed to get to the final three. Definitely Randon's already in that extra video we saw. He's clocked Tevin for his threat level, just like Mary's talking about, huh? Ben and Kinsey were much less annoying and more tolerable than I anticipated, which was a nice surprise. Soda, Tiffany, and Hunter didn't stand out to me before the season started, but I found myself really liking them more than I expected. Liz fulfilled expectations that she is not long for the game. I still get a negative vibe from Venus and Randon. Banu seems just as sweet and awesome as I thought. Oh yeah, hold that thought, Mary. But thankfully, he does seem to have some Survivor awareness and willingness to do what it takes to advance in the game. I like how Maria and the other women came together on Siga. She seems much less mom on vacation than we were expecting. Absolutely, yep. I chose Charlie as my USB because he seems smart but unassuming. He seems a bit more green than I anticipated, so I'm regretting my choice just a little bit. He does seem like he's potentially already been set up to be played. That's just the general feel. I continue my streak of choosing the person who just misses being voted out for my vote out pick. I had Jess going home, and once again, so close, but no point for me. I roped my husband into playing JSFL as well this season, so that will be fun to see how we do. Yeah, that'll be great. Looking forward to hearing everyone else's thoughts on the premiere. Thanks, Mary. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California with Survivor feedback for week 1. I just finished watching. It's Thursday morning. I just have to say, ever since Jelinski announced that several hours was 7, no, several is 3, and they should quit the challenge, even though I had him as a safe point, because I didn't think he'd make the merge, but I didn't think he'd be the first vote out. My whole attitude was, oh my God, please cut this guy. I'll take a 3-point week. I don't care. And And then when he went on the journey and he just folded and he was, okay, yeah, it's me. Like he could, this poor boy had nothing. I had listened to his interviews and I thought he was going to do better. I didn't think he was going to go that far, but I definitely thought he was going to do better than he was. I have a lot of favorites already. I love Hunter, Liz. I love Tevin and Soda. They are just really good cast. Ben, I think, is going to annoy me if he keeps mentioning his guitar. I think I'm going to get over that pretty quickly. On Yanu, I like Kinsey, I like Q, and I like Tiffany. Very, very much so. And I chose Jem as my USB, just like you guys, Joanne and Stacy. I just found her to be a solid player and kind of has a winning attitude. So I can't wait to see what happens. I do not mind at all beginning the side challenge deep in the basement. Maybe there'll be somebody with me. Maybe week one, I'm in dead last place. I'm just glad they cut that guy because for shame, Jelinski. Just at least try a little bit. Anyway, so glad Survivor is back. Had a delicious time watching this morning. And thank you, Joanne and Stacey, again for all that you do. And hopefully I have some company in the basement. The basement is cold. Bye.
Well, right now you're solo, but things change quickly, especially early in the season.
True.
Yep, good deal. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my Survivor friends. Another new season has started. It's also very exciting. Really enjoyed the 2-hour premiere of the show. Now, first of all, I have to say that initially I was really impressed with Bhanu since he's an Indian classical dancer and he's from Visakhapatnam and all that. But then when I heard him in one of the interviews gushing over Probst, I was like, oh my God, I can't stand this. So then I didn't choose him for my USB. And after much thought between, I think it was Maria and Jem, I chose Jem. Well, this first season was all about the legend Jelinski. Oh my God. He was in everything, wasn't he? He wanted to do the Sweat and Savvy challenge. He wanted to go on the journey. He wanted to do the puzzle. And he wanted to be the legend. But then it was all for nothing. And I heard his interviews as well. And it came across a bit like sour grapes. And the way he's been blaming everything on Q because nobody was stopping him from putting on his shoes. And if somebody suggests to me, or I think we should stop doing that, you should be thinking yourself what you want to do. But I don't know how the show was edited, but the way it was edited, to me, it seems like he's the one who gave up. And even when he went on the journey. So anyway, he was very entertaining while he lasted, and so were his interviews. But let's see what happens next. And yeah, I'm really impressed with Tiffany. I wish I'd chosen her for my USB. Gosh, she solved that puzzle so quick. I am so enjoying this season. I just wanted the next one to come along. Oh yes, and I love the gecko. Oh, that was done so well, and I liked how Jeff Probst explained how the whole gecko was created. So that was lots of fun. All the puzzles and games, as usual, were good fun. So let's see what happens. I still have my fingers crossed for Bhanu, and I do hope he does well. So the only thing I didn't understand, why was he feeding Jelinski with his fingers? That was a bit odd. That's how,
Weird.
We sort of feed the children when they're little. So I don't know what was going on there. Anyway, lovely to hear everybody's voices back and so grateful for this lovely little tribe of ours. Till next time, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Rashmi.
I think Banu was treating him as a child. He kept calling him kid.
Yeah.
He didn't call it. And I think that's how he viewed him as a kid.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
why he was having so much trouble with it. And I think he was trying to nurture him maybe by feeding him that way. He was kind of trying to nurture him because he felt him guilty because he about to vote him out.
In the exit interviews, Jelinski said that he discovered he was allergic to coconut. So
Yikes.
He didn't understand why his throat kept getting worse and worse and hurting more, and then finally figured it out. So Rajmi mentioned the interviews, and in the interviews, Zelensky said that Q brought up quitting first, and then I saw tweets from Q saying lies. So, misinterpreted it. The other thing Zelensky said in the interviews was that he didn't wear his shoes when they were doing the sweat challenge, and he was walking out over coral. So it just destroyed his feet. And
that's why I think that's what Rajmi was talking about. Nobody stopped him from putting his shoes on.
Exactly. Yeah, so there was that. He also lost his water bottle, so he got dehydrated because he wasn't getting his water. And that's why I think she said it sounded like sour grapes. He had this kind of list of things that he was going through. And it's like, well, that's, these things are on you, dude. But there didn't seem to be that awareness at all. And
it's like, but nobody told him to put his shoes on.
Q wasn't having it at all. He's like, no, I didn't. I didn't suggest that we should quit.
To Q, I'm sure he's another man. Step up.
Well, it's the funny thing is Zelensky, before the season began, Zelensky saw Q and thought, man, I hope I can get an alliance with him. I want to work with him. Q saw Zelensky and said, hey, that's a guy I could work with. I hope we get a chance to get in an alliance together.
Yeah,
and so
they
got their wish.
Yep.
It did not work. Oh, thanks again, Rajmi. Next up, we got a call from Chris in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's Chris from Minneapolis calling. Just wanted to kind of give some feedback on the new cast. First off, thought it was interesting. I got a text halfway through the episode from my nephew, and he was already like, let's vote this Zelensky guy off the island. So he didn't need to see the whole episode to get that vibe. And the other thing was my wife, who's kind of in and out on Survivor, she loves Banu, and I think he's a character that she is just going to stick around for, and that was really cool. Kind of back to Zelensky, it just kind of reminded me of last season where we had some Survivors, cast members that just weren't ready to play the game. That Jeff kind of had his monologue at the beginning of the episode, and he's like, there's people here that are not going to win, and it's pretty clear at that tribal council we had two people that just weren't ready to play the game. I mean, unbelievable that they had a choice between Jess and Zelensky. I mean, two really bad players in my opinion. And then the last season we had a couple other people it was just like, what are they thinking here? So as far as some other contestants, I picked Jem in GSFL, and I think that's going to be a good pick. I was also debating Q, and he seems like he's going to be rock solid as well. Somebody that I was really pleasantly surprised by was Maria. I was a little worried, but she looks like she's going to be a really good contestant. And Soda, I also was a little worried about, but I think she looks like a player. Tevin looks like a player. Tiffany looks like a player. So I think that we obviously have some shaky players. We still have the girl who's allergic to everything. I don't know what she's doing there. But other than that, I really like most of the cast. And so looking forward to another great season. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. Next up, we got an email from Barry in Mississippi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. I wonder how well nesting the two buckets to cover the holes in each, then alternating trips down to the water and back would have worked.
Yeah.
That never entered my mind. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would like to think that one bucket 3/4 full would be better than what he put Zelensky, meaning Jelensky, and Q were doing. And it would keep their legs a little fresher too. They could rest while the other one did. That's just fabulous thinking.
Yeah.
I like it.
Definitely out of the bucket thinking there.
Okay, baby. Interesting to see a young man be the first to be voted out on Survivor. Actually voted out and not quit or get medevac. Good on the Yanu tribe for recognizing a guy who is all hat and no cattle.
There you go. That works.
Hunter is from a town about 40 minutes from my home in Stark Vegas, really Starkville, but Stark Vegas sounds more fun. Thanks for this great community. In some respects, y'all are my church every Sunday morning during Survivor season. All right, thanks, Barry. Up next, we got a call from Christine.
Hi, Joanna, Stacy. It's Christine from Hawaii. Aloha. No Jade today, unfortunately, but she'll be back next week, I'm sure. We had a great time watching this premiere together. She did want to give some of her feedback as well. Her USB is Randon. She picked him kind of randomly, and she's already regretting her choice, considering her options to change out at the merge. So far, contenders are Soda and Tiffany. So not too impressed with Randon. I, however, like my USB gem. She's just hanging out right in the middle, in that meaty part of the curve, not showing off, not falling behind, and I think she's going to go far. Also loving Tiffany with her idol recovery. That was pretty amazing. And Tevin, I think he's very entertaining and will be really fun to watch this season. The Nami tribe surprised me with their performances at both challenges. I had them as the weakest tribe, so that's why I didn't get the vote out point. But I totally underestimated them as a group. And also I overestimated the Yanu tribe because of Tiffany and Q. I thought that they both looked really athletic, but maybe they weren't able to work together that well. So it's going to be exciting to watch. I loved all of the challenges. And my favorite scene was when Banu feeds Jelinski like a mama bird. That was weird. Anyway, see you guys next time, and ahoyo.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, that was really weird. There's two references to the weirdness of that. Oh, good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Chris in Alabama.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, Survivor fans. This is Chris in Alabama. I thought the colors of the teams coming in on the boats was really nice, especially the purple and the green tribes. During Jeff's moving, "Who will have what it takes?" delivery, his shorts lined up with the sand and kind of vanished. That was neat. And when it showed the logo, I kind of got chills. This looks to be a good season. I liked the zero entry pool effect of landing on the beach, and this was a beautiful challenge with all of the blue hues of the water in the background. And I think they missed an opportunity to include the Survivor Tide Pods Cleanest Clothes Challenge. Rainbow Bright would have surely covered Soda's backside on that one. At the Sweat Challenge, I was concerned that they might let the hourglass fall and break. We remember from last season how breaking the challenge can affect the game, but Jelinski ends up tossing the timepiece anyway. I guess he wanted to make time fly. They could have made it easier on themselves. I would have stuffed leaves into the holes of the buckets, or wrapped my arms around the bucket, or stacked the buckets and take turns, or focus on pouring into one jug at a time so you can keep progress of how you're doing. What about just filling the jugs with sand? Isn't that basically what a functioning hourglass does? I like Jim. She's my USB, and I'm glad to be in the same camp with so many of you. Soda pops in with camp songs. I do like singing, but Soda's call and respond songs at tempo annoyed me, but not nearly as much as when people think that I want to hear their attempt to whistle the theme to the Andy Griffith Show. Y'all, the way I happen to stream the show, I can't start watching it until the broadcast is over. So being selfish, 2 hours is a little long. Yes, I know I'm worse than Brandon Hance. Jelinski's voice was giving off Buffalo Bill vibes from Silence of the Lambs. That's about all I got. There was this tattooed pair who seemed to have rubbed off on each other. I'm glad to be in the side challenge. I guess I need to start paying attention now. Have a great week, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks,
All
Chris.
right, good job, Chris.
Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So, yeah, the Javik really sneaked up on me this time. I, of course, missed getting in my predictions, but they would have been arbitrary anyway. So I really appreciated hearing Javik part 1 and part 2 because it was very helpful in at least getting some of these names and some of these tribes sort of in my consciousness. And, yeah, I actually did, though, get my picks in. So I do have a USB 24, and I went with Gem. like a lot of other people did. I actually really like the look of this cast so far. I mean, there's kind of a mix of fans and obvious recruits, but yeah, just a few things that kind of jumped out at me. I like Tiffany. I like a lot of the women. I think a lot of the women are pretty strong characters, but also really proactive in their game, like Maria. And yeah, a couple of the guys are kind of growing on me, but here's okay, Zelensky, we don't need to beat this dead horse. I think everyone knows that there was a lot of just in the same breath him contradicting himself. It was really, I was like, bro. But speaking of Zelensky, several does not mean 7. It's never meant 7. I think everyone knows that too. I always thought a couple was 2, several is 3 or more, and then you start to get into many, which is probably like 10 or 12, and then a lot, which is a couple dozen. I don't know. It kind of depends on what you're counting, right? But several never means 7. So he 100% quit on the sweat challenge, and it's funny because they paired him with the biggest no quit team player that they could possibly have them with in queue. So a couple of other things that I think I'm going to kind of focus on dumb things people say this season with feedback, because there's part of a few this episode. I think it was Kenzie that said she really likes to build repertoire with people, and I think she probably meant rapport. So that's a big difference there. Actually, I watched with the captions, and when they were saying that, I can't even remember her name, but they said she was Parvati-like. There's actually Parvati Light. So it was actually kind of an insult. It was a compliment because she's kind of like Parvati, but then he said Parvati Light. So she's not even quite the Parvati, but she's trying to be there. Nice. You know, it's like the watered down version of Parvati. But you'll notice when Soda told her, she took out the light part. So I don't know. The captions could have been wrong, but it seems to me that that's definitely what he was saying. She was like not quite the Parvati level, but trying to get there. So it's a good season so far. Looking forward to it. And the gecko is enormous. I can't wait to show the kids. They're going to think that's the coolest challenge ever. And hope everyone has a great weekend. I got this in on Friday. How about that? And no idea about next week, but looking forward to the feedback show to give me some ideas. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, Drew. Good job getting that in early and getting all your picks done before the season started.
All right.
Next up, we got an email from Tara from upstate New York. Hi, Joanne, Stacy, and all the super fans. I'm so happy that the podcast is back and we can all get together to talk about the new season. I've missed listening to you all every week, and what a great episode to begin. After last season, I came in with low expectations because I really lost interest in the cast for the most part after the merge. What a difference. I love this cast. There's almost no one that I don't want to see more of on my screen. Tevin's intro gave me goosebumps and I was hooked. I loved Jeff's speech to the players too. It started the game in a more real, gritty way instead of the same old generic questions. He did say he asked those in his On Fire podcast, but they decided not to go with that this time. He said he was going to finally get tougher on the players this season, and I'm up for it. As far as the players, Tevin is my USB, and I'm glad I picked him. The Tevin Soda Hunter Alliance looks to be in great shape, as does the tribe as a whole so far. Hunter could be a great physical shield for Tevin, and Tevin can help Hunter socially, so it looks to be a good pairing. Who would think that a 50-year-old TV show would come into play this season? It made me pause for a second. I was like, 50? Oh, Andy Griffith. I was surprised most by Maria and Ben. She's the oldest, but seems like a powerhouse, both physically and strategically. I thought Ben might get voted out first as a new, more irritating Sifu character, but he actually seems fun, and his zaniness matches well with the mellow Charlie. I thought I'd like Liz way more, and she could be in trouble with all of her allergies. I'm worried about Jess also, but all in all, I love everyone in the cast. As far as Jelinski, what a fun first boot. He seems to be a terrible Survivor player and completely delusional, but wow, he made great TV. I just rewatched the episode again after listening to his exit interview on Rob Sesternino's podcast, and it's hilarious. He said in his interview that Q actually suggested quitting the strength challenge first, and that the tribe voted him out because he was such a big threat. He's young, so I don't want to be disparaging, but wow. Still, it was great fun, and he'd be a good pick for a first boot season if Survivor ever makes that a theme. As far as next week, I have no clue, so I hope you all can give me some ideas. I've missed all of your feedback, so can't wait. Thanks for all you do, Joanne and Stacy. Thank you, Tara. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh. And David in Pittsburgh's perturbed that you're only giving David in Pittsburgh 3 minutes in this podcast to record, just like the other fans. Because of the legendary posts over the years by David in Pittsburgh, extra time should be granted to David in Pittsburgh. Okay, I'm done with the third person. Just like the legend Jelinski. Just wanted to let you know that I did not sign up for JSFL this season because we found out early on that we are going to be away during the finale. We're going to be out of the country. I don't think we'd be able to watch Survivor until we come back weeks later. So I'm still playing it with friends at home. We're still involved in the game, just as if I were playing it in the official JSFL. I'm sure everybody's going to talk about this, but I just had no clue where Jelinski was coming from. I listened to Rob's podcast when he did his exit interview, and the guy is clueless. I mean, he comes across as believing that they got rid of him because he was such a big threat. I don't ever remember him taking responsibility for any of his actions, only until he was challenged by Jeff or by Tiffany, and he kind of admitted, okay, maybe he did quit. But then again, when I saw him leaving after his torch was snuffed, he just seemed dejected and looks like a big kid. And I thought, yeah, he's only 22 years old. So I don't know. I delusional is the best word I can come up with. People saying he's the worst player. No, he wasn't the worst player. He didn't quit the game, although he didn't take up the other challenges anyway. So I don't think he's going to be the legend that he thinks he is. I did think they might have made a mistake, though, in voting him out because Jess doesn't look like she's going to come through for the team, and now it's a physically weaker team. But if you can't depend on one of your tribe mates to be playing for the tribe, then maybe that person needs to go. Oh, and after watching Tiffany solve the puzzle to get her immunity idol, which I thought she did phenomenally on, why didn't she do the puzzle at the end instead of having Jessen, who can't remember anything, and Jelinski, who overpromises everything? I don't get that either. My USB is Banu. I'm getting concerned. I almost didn't pick him because he's had previous shoulder injuries. He seems like such a tender-hearted guy, and this is going to be hard for him. So I'm concerned. I now think after Tevin's introduction, I thought, oh, why didn't I pick him? But I'm going to stick with Banu. We'll see how that goes. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks, David. Good job.
Well, here's one theory, David, and that is that Tiffany probably, maybe she didn't want to volunteer because if they do lose, oftentimes those people are sent home. But I'm thinking it's more because she didn't really care if they lost, because then she could have the opportunity to get her vote back. So the sooner that happened, the better for her.
Well, if you don't lose, though, you don't need your vote.
Yes, but they might lose at some point, and she might need it.
Sure.
So they had to lose at some point for her to get her vote back and to find the idol. So I don't know that she didn't try to throw it, but I don't know that she was gonna. I didn't see her over there helping solve the puzzle either.
I don't know that she knew that she was that much better than the others at that point.
Well, exactly.
She does now.
They said they could do it, and they volunteered.
Right.
So. But like I said, that could always be in the back of her mind that, hey, we got to lose for me to be able to move further toward this idol.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I had a lot of fun with that premiere. I thought it was great. Got a lot of time to get to know people. Wasn't a whole lot of sob stories we had to get through. Wasn't really any. A lot of people got confessionals and screen time, conversation moments. The opening was fun. The journey wasn't too long. I liked the Beware Advantage twist this season. The challenge was good, and it was a satisfying vote-off. All really high points. I feel like they used the 2 hours really, really well, and then Jelinski going after just the disaster of an episode he had was very satisfying. And I'm glad that worked out because two things. One, I feel like Jess deserves a second chance, and I don't think Jelinski did. I think he dug his grave. But then also, it's what my USB wanted. I picked Q as my USB, and he got his way, and he's in the majority. And that's pretty much all you can ask for USB at this point in the season, is for them to not be on the outs. And that worked out for him. He's a little bit more intense than I would have wanted him to be, so I'm a bit worried about that's going to like get under people's skin. I don't want him to end up being a Bruce type, but so far, I'm feeling really good about that choice, especially because I was going to pick like Randon or Tim, and right now, not looking great for either of them. So I'm glad I went with Q. Some other people that I feel good about after this first episode, I really like Tiffany. I feel like she had a great episode. Kenzie's fun, although I was worried she was going to push for Jess to go, which I feel like would have been the wrong move. I think that all the girls on the Green Tribe are fun. I like the alliance that they got going on. I like Charlie, even though I myself am not a Swiftie, although now I know all of Cruel Summer like the back of my hand, but not a big Swiftie. I also liked both Hunter and Tevin a lot more than I thought I would, and I like the Andy Griffith alliance. Also, it's funny that Hunter and Soda are camp counselors because I myself am a camp counselor, so that was pretty funny. Although I do like the camp songs, but I do relate more to Hunter because I am more introverted and I can easily be intimidated by like the big personalities. Yeah, no, I feel like it was a really, really solid episode. Jelinski was just so aggravated. I feel like if he stuck around, that would have been a lot. But having him go now makes it funny. So yeah, that was satisfying because that was like Zane chicken like levels of bad. Yep. If he stuck around, that would have been That would have been a lot. It would have been like Drew all over again. But yeah, I had fun with it. I'm looking forward to next week. That's all we got. I will see you guys next time.
Awesome. Great historical references. Thanks, Parker. Next up, we got a call from Shaheen.
Hi, Joe and Stacey and all the Survivor fans. Hope everyone is well and safe. I thought we had a pretty good opener, to be honest. I think this group is a very well-balanced group. There's no clear winners so far for me. I, again, can't form much from the first episode, but I felt from season 45 there were some standout people, whereas in this season there is a bit of an even playing field. I think a lot of people highlighted their gameplay thus far and what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. So I'm quite happy about that. I think conversely, the amount of poor players last season, I think there's going to be a lot less in this group. Yeah. So that's great to see. I thought, looking back at Jabik and, comparing what I had written for my notes, I think I got a bulk of that group right. For example, Tim, I thought, Ben, Jam, Charlie, Hunter, Randon, I think probably Jelinski too, to an extent. I think I got them right, but some of the others either exceeded my expectations in the right way or the wrong way. For example, Liz, with her mentioning how many companies she had or sold or ran, I think that's rather off-putting, and I think shows some lack of social awareness in the game. You've got to understand when to use that play, and to say that and then say, yeah, I'm pretty awesome. No one needs that gratification. You can self-gratify yourself, that's fine, but you don't need to do it in front of other people on a game, because then I'll also question, why are you here? Q is like super successful too, but he hasn't had that opportunity to mention it to other people. He mentioned it off screen that he's good at what he does and he's been benefiting that for a while. So yeah, I was quite shocked. I thought everything else was good. I thought the challenge was great, but I thought Banu was quite off-putting. I thought I'd get that right, but he's shown some characteristics to him that I just don't like. Pandering. He's shown some sort of like frustration or anger as well in this challenge, especially to Jess, who was doing the best that she could, considering they didn't have much time left in that challenge. So I was quite shocked, and then it looks like next week he's again rather angry dude, so yeah, I'm not keen on him. And then I think the end kind of highlighted how inexperienced Jelinski was, and having a 22-year-old in his situation, because I know 22-year-olds can vary so much, but we saw Tevin, who's 2 years older, and how much maturity and how good of a player he's going to be. I thought Jelinski was just so confused and so erratic, and his social gameplay was just so lacking, especially when on the bench and lying down doing nothing. What I found interesting was the interview in EW that, I don't know, you might highlight, but do we believe what he says in that interview that Q set it up and said that let's quit and sweat? And if so, that's a great play by Q. Got played again, another inexperienced showing. So thanks for all that you do, and let's see what happens next week.
Excellent. Thanks, Shaheen. Yeah, I'll make sure to have a link to some of the interviews in the show notes. Next up, got an email from Thomas in Toronto, Canada.
Well, tonight's episode was way too long. We don't need 2 hours. There was way too much talking about nothing at all that actually matters in the game that should have been left in.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 90 minutes would have been fine for this one, and then back to an hour for the rest of the season. But for some dumb reason, we needed 2 hours for it. Then we have the dumbest vote out at Tribal Council, and don't bother defending it because I don't really care about anyone else's opinion on it.
Okay.
Next week, another unnecessary 2 hours before we have 90 minutes the rest of the season. Hopefully next season CBS has something to fill the time after Survivor, and we don't need to have extended episodes again. I want to say that I consider myself a casual fan of Survivor. I usually watch it with my mom, who is one as well. We both feel that last season the episodes dragged way too much due to them being 90 minutes every episode. I would also like to add that I like listening to podcasts about it to hear others' opinions, but I've never really understood the need to see players talking more about everything.
Interesting.
All right. Well, thanks, Thomas.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that, for the most part, everybody's really loved this season.
It
But
depends on what you're looking for, though. I've read about fans that only like to watch challenges.
That's true.
And, things like that, and aren't interested in the social part of the game.
Aspect of the game, yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. There's a counterpoint.
All right. Thanks, Thomas. Up next, we have a call from Kim.
Hello again, Survivor fans. Wow, the drama from Tevin and Banu. I hope they stay around a long time. Poor Jelinski, he makes a statement about who he is and then does the exact opposite. When I see this, I often say the person is suffering from magical thinking. I've been reading a lot of magical realism books lately. I don't know if that's why I say it. Anyway, I think he would have been entertaining, but definitely deserved to go, just like Brandon from last season. Just because you can do something in a video game doesn't mean you can do it in real life. Maria really impressed me, and I like that alliance. Now, Tim says that the women are always scheming to vote out the men. Does the data really support that? I think no. It seems like women are also always going early because, they're not as strong as the men and all that. Anyway, thank goodness Tim doesn't want to target anyone just because of their gender. Overall, I like the cast members, and I'm really glad we're back. Thanks to everybody for the community, especially our lovely hosts. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, that's always been the thing is that it's
the women
fear
go
of,
out first.
The fear of the women and it's I don't know, it's almost like a callback to the whole Salem witches and all that kind of thing. It's just the fear of the women and their power. And it's caused that disproportionate response as long as the game's been going. But yeah, he exemplified that, didn't he?
And yet here you have Charlie. It's like, cool. All my bosses have been women. He's used to women telling him what to do.
Right.
No problem.
Yep.
He's probably way more comfortable
And
with
the
that.
even funnier part is Tim's right. There's reason to fear. There is a majority alliance.
There is reason to fear those women.
Yeah. So that's
and that
it's like
alliance, especially for him.
Full circle, right? Yeah.
So yes, he should be afraid, and he is, and
so
rightly so.
All appropriate. Yeah.
But what he's wrong about is most of the time it's the men picking off the women early on,
or the women picking off the women because they know more than anyone else how dangerous the women players can be. So let's get rid of them.
Well, what they
that's
say.
a hoot. There's a lot packed into this premiere episode for sure.
A woman scorned.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks, Kim. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor Super fans. This is Justin from Michigan. So I was very wrong with my Jabik predictions, at least in terms of challenge ability. I thought Yanu would be the powerhouse, and of course, they were not, mostly held back by Jelinski. So he kind of got the very over-edited loser, our first boot. It almost seemed like Jeff didn't really like him. And it might have came down from the quit of the sweat challenge. I know Jeff said he was going to be harder on quitters, but I'm curious if he's going to keep up this hard personality all season, or if this was just this episode he wasn't particularly fond of Jelinski's actions. One thing about the sweat challenge, I think Q should have kept going by himself so he could have fully thrown Jelinski under the bus. In hindsight, he didn't need to, but at least, I mean, if Q's going to talk the talk of never giving up, even if Jelinski wants to quit, he should have kept going. Actually, I saw briefly on Twitter, I haven't listened to the exit interview, but I saw that Jelinski said that Q mentioned quitting first, which I would find very surprising, but that's apparently Jelinski's take on it. I thought it was a very smart play by Maria to force Jelinski into doubling down or telling the truth. Even if Jelinski folded in that situation, I think he could have still went back to his tribe and told them a different version of the story so that he didn't look as much of a doofus. he could have said he simply lost the game, or it was a game of chance and he lost. Come up with a different way of how you lost your vote. So he could have still gained favor with Maria and Tevin while not looking like he squandered the opportunity for his tribe. And then another thing about Jelinski. So the immunity puzzle, I'm not sure what Yanu was thinking. So I saw another funny thing on Twitter. It said Jelinski doesn't know what several means and gives up at any inconvenience. Jess has horrible ADHD and can't focus on anything normally, but also is not sleeping. Yanu decides, okay, you two on the puzzle. What was the logic with that? Right. They could have put any other two people on that puzzle and it would have made more sense to me. So that tribe is looking like the hot mess. We'll see if Jess can survive. I'm still going to have Liz as my vote out. I was not a fan of her. So speaking of who exceeded my expectations, Maria, Kenzie, Tiffany, Tevin, up, Jess, Liz, Ben, Tim, down. Everybody else pretty much at expectation right now. So good episode. Jelinski, yes, you were legendary at being awful. Right there with Jacob Derwin and Zane and whoever else you want as your crazy number one boot, Reem. So good job, Jelinski. Guess we'll probably see you never. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Justin. Like those references, too. Next up, we got a call from Jill.
Hi, Joe and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. It's Jill from the Outback here, and it's great to have Survivor back, and it's great to hear everyone's voices again. What a crazy first episode, and just the weirdest of decisions. For a fellow that is supposed to be around Las Vegas, I hope he doesn't play poker. This season snuck up on me a little bit. I didn't really get to listen to all of the interviews beforehand. I got a few of them in, and I liked Hunter and Randon from those, and I still do. But I also like Tiffany. I love Tiffany, actually, and so does she. Seems cool too. And Tevin, I really like Tevin, and loved his intro at the start of the Survivor intro. I thought that was really good. And he's going to have a great social game, I reckon. But he's got Buckley's of winning. But there's no one to hate. Everyone seems nice. There doesn't seem to be an outstanding villain. Although the preview for next episode, maybe a few true colours are going to be coming out. The new challenges were pretty good. The gecko was amazing. Loved the gecko. Just going back a bit, when they were doing the sweat challenge, so Jelinski, and it was Q, wasn't it? Q was quite happy to throw Jelinski under the bus, saying that he quit doing that challenge, but Q wasn't fighting him either. He seemed quite happy to not try to finish that challenge off. What else? We have Australian Survivor on, so at the moment we're going to be having Survivor 4 nights a week, so life doesn't get much better than that. Look forward to the feedback show. I'm sure everyone's going to be ganging up on Jelinski. I bet he's had a pretty crappy week, actually. But it'll be interesting to hear what everyone thinks. Thanks, Joy and Stacey, and happy days, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Jill. Great to hear from you.
You know, I wonder if Q would have even been allowed to continue because Jelinski broke the timer.
Oh, I don't think so after that. Yeah, I mean, that was it. You just cut off the thing that decided when the challenge was done.
Exactly. So there was no option after that.
Right. But I think they had clearly decided
before he decided. Yeah. And why did he destroy it anyway? What's
even worse, what are you thinking? Breaking glass on a sand beach that you have to live on. That's all you need to know about the guy in terms
why
of
would you destroy
his ability
their
to make
property anyway?
Make decisions.
Those are props they use for different challenges. Why destroy it?
Yeah. Poor impulse control, I guess. What a mess. You know, they had to get out there with things to strain all that glass out of the sand. That was just, I don't know, that's been running through my mind ever since we watched it. It's like, breaking that thing on the beach where you're going to live.
And he was already talking about how bad his feet were.
Yeah. No perception, no cause and effect.
And
nothing.
at some point he'd probably walked across it because, karma and all that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thanks, Jill. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the plush moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, the speculating is over. Facts flowed faster than water from a leaky bucket and left me with information overload. It'll probably take 3 more episodes before I can match names, faces, and tribes without Paul's roster. My other observations. Banu was a self-professed slumdog. Now he wants to be a survivor millionaire. Is Yanu the new Lulu? It certainly seems to be, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Second place got to choose sweat or savvy. That sounds like the prize choices in the old Monty Python game show. A kick in the pants or a blow on the head. Jelinski says he's the monster, but the scariest thing about him is his gameplay. Jess is a twin. If her twin sleeps better than Jess, maybe they should swap places. Q and Jelinski should have put one bucket inside the other to block the leaks and taken turns fetching water.
See, all these people thinking of that.
Yeah.
I never even thought of it.
Liz sold 2 businesses. Was one of them a lemonade stand? Jelinski broke the hourglass. He hoped it would be a turn-back time twist. Is that it? Is that the logic? I guess that works. Ben plays heavy metal, salsa bar, mitzvah music. I didn't know that was even a genre. Q has 17 siblings, so dealing with 17 castmates should feel familiar. Former camp counselor Hunter hates camp songs. He's neutral on s'mores. There's an Andy Griffith alliance. Jelinski could have been their Barney Fife. Yeah, that would have worked. I totally see that. Venus doesn't like being called a princess because she's a goddess. The Sega women want a Charlie's Angel alliance. Didn't Charlie ghost his angels? Sodar is pretty loud. I don't think Soda will be able to sneak up on anyone with it. Venus was called Parvati Light. That sounds like the name of a low-calorie beer. The alliance nicknames are a combination of puns and dad jokes. I approve. How dare Randon rightly accuse Venus of being sneaky? The nerve. Liz is allergic to most island food. Lucky for her, they don't get a lot of it. Jelinski is a legend in his own mind. Tevin's exaggerated double takes belong on an 80s sitcom. Yeah, he does overdo some of that, doesn't he? He's going to be great in the jury if he ends up there. Back home, Jelinski sticks to slot machines because he's so bad at cards. Law student Charlie is a Swiftie, but he's no Swiftie Lazar. Okay, I do not know that one. I'm going to have to look that one up. Jelinski may not know when to hold 'em, but he certainly knows when to fold 'em. Jeff said one player can't win unless the rules changed. 17 can't win. Hey, Stacy, what's the exchange rate between challenge quits and game quits? Yeah, that's interesting. Jelinski's biggest problem wasn't quitting. It was his complete inability to spin a story. Yanu rhymes with Lulu. Coincidence? I think not. Maria went full mom on Jelinski. She did everything but use his full name. David, are you lying? Giant geckos were falling from the sky. I'm surprised there weren't any medevacs. Yeah, it looked like if one of those had hit somebody, it would have caused some damage. And they were even talking about in the podcast, the guy who made them was saying, if I'd known they were going to hook them up like that on the end, I would have put a steel plate in there to reinforce it. And I thought, no, that would have been an awful idea.
Yeah.
Jelinski reminds me of Dr. Evil's henchman who caves when asked a question 3 times. Let's address the 500-pound gecko in the room. Did Geico pay for product placement? They really missed out on that, didn't they? Jelinski says several means 7. Say it with me. That's Culpepper math. Banu lives in a nearby town. If I see him in a market, he'll be the one buying ants at the deli counter. When Jelinski talks about Jelinski, he reminds Josh of Mongo talking. Like Mongo, he's just a pawn in the game. Tiffany brings artistry to solving clues. Jelinski and Kinsey were the Shaggy and Daphne alliance. Ruh-roh. Jess is afraid she'd lose kids at the mall. Doesn't that make her every teen's dream parent? Next time the tribes have to spell persistence. Yanu's lucky Jelinski is gone. Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Survivor friends. It's Jeremiah here with my feedback for episode 1 of Survivor 46. And I know I mentioned it in my Jabik predictions about how much I really think I'm going to like this cast. But now that I've seen this first episode, I'm even more excited. Not only do we have a lot of great characters, as I mentioned before, but there's just so many layers to these people. I'm really fascinated to see what we're going to get. I think we're in store for something special this season. Now, I wonder how many people in the Survivor community had the Andy Griffith Show and Charlie's Angels on their bingo card of things that would have gotten mentioned in this episode. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. But I have to admit, these are two alliances that I'm really going to keep close eye on. I think there's going to be some serious legs with these two. Definitely ones to watch, right? Obviously, the other one on the Purple Tribe with Tiffany and Kinsey for sure. They're really tight. And, of course, they have Banu and Q on their side as well. So that could be a powerful duo as well. One of these alliances, who knows, may make it to the end. It'll be interesting to watch for sure. As for players that I had a more positive attitude on, ones that I was a little negative on in the Jabik, but now have a little more positive view, Soda was definitely one of those players. I really like her quite a bit. I think she could do well. I know everybody's comparing to Marianne. She does have some Marianne vibes, so let's see how she can do. Maria. I actually really like Maria a lot more than I thought I was going to. She seems to kind of be leading that alliance, so I really like her quite a bit. And on the Purple Tribe, I think Banu is a little bit better than I thought he was going to be, but I don't know if I'm too far off the mark originally because still not sure if he's going to do well, but he, of course, is very entertaining to watch. Two people that I liked, Liz and Jess, obviously didn't have necessarily the best episode. Jess especially did not have a good episode. Liz still might be okay. She had a little stumble here and there, but I think she's going to bounce. I think she's still going to be okay, but time will tell, obviously. Now, Tevin, of course, had a big episode, but more importantly, my USB Tiffany had a fantastic episode. Oh my gosh, that was so awesome watching her navigate everything, getting that idol. I was so proud. I was yelling at my TV going, "You go, girl!" So yes, I am thrilled about my new USB. And then, of course, we have Jelinski. Probably the biggest flame out we've ever seen in the first boot in a long time. Holy cow, we got a lot out of him in this episode for sure. Very entertaining. All right, well, anyway, that's it for me. As far as next week's concerned, I guess at this point, you have to assume probably it's going to be Jess to go home. I know Randon and Venus seems to have their little battle going on, so maybe he could go home. But right now, I'm probably going to pick Jess. And that's it for me. Until next time, it's Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Enjoyed it. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. I really enjoyed this episode, and I was impressed by the immediate gameplay of more players than I thought I would. But to start off, I will say that Tevin, I think it is, Tevin's little eerie voiceover of what Survivor's all about really seemed scripted to me, or on cue cards or something, because I was thinking to myself, this is exactly what Jeff Probst says at the premiere of every single season. And I can just see them sitting around the editing table saying, you know what I think we should do next season? Next season, I think we should put on cue cards this really profound statement and have every single player say it. And then we'll pick one and we'll just put it out there at the beginning of the season like it's some spontaneous statement about the profundities of the game, you know. And I actually like Tevin a lot, but I think he's the actor, and I'm not buying that he just extemporaneously came up with that statement off the cuff. He's an actor and he could pull that off. Anyway, I digress from the awesome gameplay. Soda is fun to watch. She's a cut-up, and I like her. I wasn't certain about her initially. I'm happy with choosing Jem as my USB. Banu is inspirational, and I love his story, but Banu needs to stop referring to himself in the third person and crying. I'm not a Banu fan as a player. And back to Soda. Soda has some awesome fire-making skills. I like Mariah, and I appreciated her story about how making social connections are difficult for her and how she's trying to overcome that while playing the game. I loved Jelinski for about 30 seconds, and when he threw the sand timer, no, wait, that is not good. That's quitting. Ugh. And I really liked the new Journey game I want to see that one happen again. I like the fact that players have to compete with each other in a battle of wits, and how they're, in a very immediate and tangible way, impacting each other's games for better or for worse. Love it. I like Venus as a person and as a personality. I just am amazed at how much bad attention she's getting. So I hope she can overcome that. And I love Tiffany. Tiffany came out of nowhere for me. She and Kenzie are very quick thinking, and they're here to play. But I like Tiffany's positive energy. I like her optimism. And I like how she's not into thinking too deeply about making moves in the game because she only has 26 days. And that's an energy that I have not seen on Survivor, and I can't remember when. So I love her. I'm so impressed with Nami as a tribe. They have so many strengths physically and mentally. I think they're going to be very tough to beat. But my favorite tribe is Siga. I like everyone on that tribe, and I think they are just a good balance of personalities. I really enjoyed watching them at camp. I'm liking the Charlie's Angels alliance, but I can't think of one person on that tribe that I dislike or want to see go home anytime soon. Oh, and I think I talked about everybody I like, except Q. I like Q also, but he's on Yanu, and I don't want to talk about them much. Anyway, that's it for me. I can't wait to hear everyone else's thoughts on the premiere. Can't wait for the second episode on Wednesday. And I will be back here in several days, because several being 7, with my feedback on episode 2. Till next week.
Excellent. Way to work several in there. Good job, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here, and I have to admit that the cast is way better than I expected, with the exception of Jelinski, who was even worse than I thought he would be. But I'm sort of jumping ahead here, because I wanted to start off saying that, yes, I enjoyed the episode. Having 2 hours to get to know our players really allows us to bond with our favorite players and even figure out who those favorites are. So then, so much to say. First off, the sweat challenge bothered me because why didn't Q and Jelinski try to block the holes? Was it in the rules or something? But even worse was watching Q do all of the heavy lifting while Jelinski sat around on the beach and moaned. Yeah, in the first 15 minutes, I knew I had him pegged correctly. And Liz, what are you thinking sharing that much with everyone? No merge for you. But Venus, as you may recall, was not one of my favorite players before the show started. And she's kind of sort of what I expected, but she did win me over a bit when she shot out that "how dare you assume correctly" line about being a princess. At least she's self-aware, unlike our first player who was voted off. And I guess the biggest surprises for me were with Maria, Tiffany, and Soda, who I each like now. And I have to say that if Jess could just somehow steal an ounce of Jelinski's confidence, well, she might be a good player. But I think I'm picking her as next to go. It's not that I don't like her, she's just too timid for Survivor. And I still don't know what to make of my own USB, Jem. She really wasn't featured, and you never know how to read that kind of an edit, but we still have another 2 hours coming along next week, so perhaps we'll see more of these overlooked players in the next episode, which I hope will only have one tribal council. So, Jelinski, I sort of feel bad for him. All his monster talk really set him up for a very public humiliation. But I'll bet he explained things differently to his friends, probably telling them that he was voted out because he was such a threat or whatnot. Sadly for him, he didn't need several votes to be ousted. Just 3 and poof, he was gone. Oh, but did Maria ever play him masterfully? Which is why I think she's going to go so much farther than I ever suspected that she would. I mean, the whole Maria and Jelinski thing was almost like a remake of the famous Suri and Eric scene. These kids have no chance when they're up against a cougar. And then Tiffany. Wow. Talk about my misjudging someone. I've come around and done a 180 on her. I think that she is going to be a powerhouse this season. And there's just so much to go over here, but I think I'll just end this by saying that I think that Yanu is going to continue to lose challenges, and that sadly Jess will be out next. Probably for her own good. And I mean that for her own comfort. I can see her spiraling into a bad place if she stays too long in this game. And there you have it. Everyone take care. I'll catch y'all next week. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
All right. I agree with that. At least that's where I'm at right now is, I think Jess, y'all know we'll lose and Jess will be the next. Unless Banu melts down.
Oh, somehow sort of self-destructs ahead of her or gets called out somehow.
That's the only way. If she settled down and started to contribute more and he had a meltdown, him yelling at her like that right in the middle of the challenge bothered me. So, and we have seen a clip that we haven't seen in the show yet. And I don't know why. Maybe they just didn't show it.
Pre-premiere commercials, you mean?
Yeah, of him crying and, kind of losing it. So that's why I thought, well, unless he completely loses it, but I would expect Jess to go next.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised to see all three tribes fail initially at getting that arch, the persistence arch, to work. But if you had to pick one of the tribes that wouldn't be able to recover, you would think it might be the Yanu tribe.
That would be my guess.
That there's so much. With Jess not being at her best, she's got to get some sleep. If she can't get some sleep and rebound.
Somebody yelling at you, it doesn't help.
Right, yeah.
How are you supposed to? Anyway, I think Yanu will lose because the other two tribes are more of a team in the challenges.
It does seem that way.
They seem to work better together.
The preview let on that Nami wasn't getting along with Venus, that she was causing some friction. So that could affect their teamwork a little bit, but they seem like the type of group that could overcome it for a challenge.
Yeah, but they got to sit someone out. So
True. Liz is by far the short. Well,
yeah, she probably.
She is the. Well, I looked up and I thought, wait a second, is she shorter than Soda?
Yes.
Yeah. You
I
remember
think she is.
Okay, but yeah, you're gonna probably look towards the shorter people.
I remembered thinking she was a lot shorter than I thought.
Considerably shorter.
So I think she probably is the shortest on the tribe.
I keep remembering that when they got out of the boat and she's like, "Hey guys, wait up!"
Yeah,
and she was way behind.
Mackenzie's taller than is shorter than Jess.
Kenzie.
That's what I meant, Kenzie. I don't know why I want to say Mackenzie.
But they don't have a choice. They don't get to set anyone out.
Exactly. They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So they all have to play every time.
Yep.
Until somebody else loses, maybe. But anyway, I think Kenzie's probably the shortest one, but I don't think they'll sit her out because they can't sit anyone out. Yay.
Yeah, so Nami and Siga have got to pick someone to sit out. They're probably going to go towards the shorter players. Maybe they're 2 challenges. I don't know. It's not feeling like they're that there's a reward challenge, but there may be. You would think with 2 hours there might be that.
They have to do something else unless they go out on the boat again.
That would be a lot of tribe time otherwise, which would be fine.
Yeah.
For some of us. Not Thomas, huh? Yeah.
True. All right. Well, I think we covered it pretty good. I very much enjoyed it. And, like a lot of the people, wow, some of these people that I had already completely discounted, it's like, whoa.
Back in the mix?
Take notice.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm really cheering for Tiffany and Maria. I just like a lot of the people that I didn't think I would like.
Tiffany is really looking like a powerhouse. Jeremiah and the 6 or 7 other folks that picked her they're thrilled.
You betcha.
So
I would be too.
Head and shoulders above the others right now when you're looking at
Though
her
I'm not
effectiveness.
Unhappy with Jim, but hey, if
like
I
Paul
had
was
Tiffany,
saying.
I would be excited for sure. So.
Yeah, you'd be a lot more amped. Yeah, it's okay for people to be, especially when you got a tribe that's winning, that people are just in the background. They don't need to be standing out right now because the ones standing out might be the ones that get hammered down. Thanks to everyone who took time to share your thoughts and predictions today. We enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from all of you.
If you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 2 picks for 1 person voted off and 4 people who you think will be safe at the end of the episode. Anything else you want to say?
I think they covered it. What a great job.
All right.
We're looking forward to the next 2-hour episode on Wednesday, and we'll be back after that with our recap. Have a good one.